I still hear the sound before I remember the pain, that sharp crack slicing through the noise of the food court laughter and clinking glasses and holiday music all snapping at once. 1 second I was standing there, hand resting on my stomach, just trying to breathe through the afternoon, and the next a glass shattered against the side of my head and the world tipped sideways. I hit the floor, hard, knees first instinct, twisting my body so my belly didn't take the impact, and I remember thinking in this weird detached way, wow. So this is how fast everything can fall apart. People froze. You know that moment when a crowd doesn't know whether to help or stare. That shopping bags dangling mid-air, phones halfway out of pockets, eyes locked on me like I was part of some live show they didn't buy tickets for. A pregnant woman on the floor, hair coming undone, dress riding up blood or soda or something warm running down my temple. And then I heard him. Caleb. His voice cut through everything sharp and smug, like he was delivering a punchline he'd been waiting months to say. "That's what happens when you don't know your place," he said loud enough for everyone to hear, trying to play classy when you're still broke. I looked up, blinking my vision swimming, and there he was. New suit, expensive watch arm wrapped around a woman who looked like she'd never worried about rent a day in her life. He looked at me like I was something he'd scraped off his shoe, like I was an inconvenience that had followed him into public. "Did you really think you could walk around here like nothing happened?" he sneered. "Showing off that belly like it's something to be proud of." My hands wrapped around my stomach before I even realized I'd moved. 7 months pregnant. Alone. And the man who once promised he'd always protect me was now making sure everyone knew exactly how little he thought of me. I tried to push myself up. My arms shook, my body refused. He leaned closer, lowering his voice just enough to make it cruel. "Stay down. That's where you belong." That's when the phones came out. Of course they did. Someone was recording. Someone always is. And that panic hit me hard, not for me, but for my baby. I couldn't let this be the moment that defined us. I couldn't let him hurt us again. My phone was still in my hand. I'd been holding it since I spotted him earlier, instincts buzzing, telling me to leave to run. There was one number saved there that I'd sworn I would never use. One call that meant admitting I'd made the biggest mistake of my life months ago. The contact name wasn't even a name. It just said, "Do not call." I pressed it anyway. The line barely rang. "Maya," a voice said, calm and low. Not asking, just knowing. My throat tightened. "I'm at Ridgeway Center," I whispered. The line went dead. Nothing changed at first. Caleb kept talking. His girlfriend kept filming. The crowd kept whispering. I was still on the floor, still shaking, still bleeding onto polished tile that reflected too much light. And then something shifted. You know how you can feel it when a room changes. Like the air itself gets heavier, that. Footsteps echoed from the far entrance. Not rushed, not chaotic. Measured, deliberate. I looked up and saw them cutting through the crowd, 4 men in dark suits moving like they belonged wherever they were. And at the center of them was a man I hadn't seen in 6 months, Ethan Park. He looked exactly the same as the day I walked out of his office and disappeared. Calm, focused. Eyes that didn't wander or blink or acknowledge anything except what mattered. And what mattered was me on the floor and the man standing over me. Caleb didn't notice at first. He was enjoying himself too much. His girlfriend did. Her phone dipped, her face drained of color. She tugged his sleeve. "Caleb, we should go." He turned ready to snap at her, and then he saw Ethan. And just like that, all the confidence drained out of him. Ethan stopped a few feet away. He didn't raise his voice. He didn't need to. The space around him felt quiet, like everything else had stepped back. One of the men behind him shifted, waiting. Ethan lifted a hand. Not yet. Then his eyes dropped to me, and something in his expression cracked just enough for me to see it. "Can you stand?" he asked softly. I nodded, not trusting my voice. I tried again to push myself up, and this time before I could fall, he was there. 2 steps, his hand reaching for mine, steady and warm. He pulled me up like I weighed nothing, his other hand hovering near my back, not touching, just there. "I've got you," he murmured. You're safe." Caleb finally found his voice. "Who the hell are you?" Ethan didn't look at him. He was too busy checking the cut on my temple, his jaw tightening. "You're bleeding." "I'm okay," I whispered. "No," he said quietly, "you're not." His gaze shifted to Caleb, slow and deliberate. "Did you do this?" Caleb laughed, nervous and sharp. "This is between me and my ex. It's none of your business." "Your ex," Ethan repeated like he was tasting something bitter. "The woman carrying your child. The woman you just assaulted in public." "She's lying," Caleb snapped. "She probably doesn't even know who the father is. Look at her. She's nothing." Ethan stepped forward. Not fast, not angry. Just close enough to make everyone else instinctively back up. "Say one more word about her," he said, his voice calm in a way that was terrifying, "and I will personally dismantle every part of your life that you think makes you untouchable." Caleb scoffed. "You can't do anything to me. This place, I own it." Ethan smiled, faint and bored. "No, you lease it. From a holding company I acquired 3 years ago. I also own the garage where you park that car you can't actually afford, and the firm managing the money you pretend you earned yourself." The crowd went silent. Phones were still recording, but now they weren't pointed at me. Caleb's girlfriend let go of his arm and took a step back. Ethan pulled out his phone, tapped once, and held it up. Security footage played on the screen, clear as day. The glass flying. Caleb's face twisted with rage. "Me hitting the floor." "I'm not here to argue," Ethan said. "I'm here to leave. With her." He turned to me, his voice soft again. "We'll talk later. Right now, you need to be somewhere safe." I should have argued. I should have demanded explanations. But I was tired. Bleeding. Pregnant. And for the first time in months, I felt protected. I nodded. In the car, silence wrapped around us. His hand covered mine, resting on my stomach. "Are you hurt?" "The baby." "We're okay," I whispered, tears finally spilling. "I'm sorry I called you." "Don't," he said gently. "You did the right thing." At his place, a doctor was already waiting. The sound of my baby's heartbeat filled the room fast and strong, and something inside me finally unclenched. When the doctor left, Ethan turned to me serious. "Why did you disappear?" he asked. I swallowed. "Because you scared me. Because loving you felt like standing too close to the edge of something I couldn't control." He nodded, like he'd expected that. "I've been watching from a distance, making sure you were safe." I should have been angry. Instead, I felt relief. The truth came out slowly that night. About Caleb leaving, about the lies, about how small he'd made me feel. And when Ethan told me he loved me, that he didn't care whose child I carried, that he wanted to be there, I finally stopped running. The next days were a blur. Caleb's stolen money came back to me. His reputation collapsed. Screenshots. Messages. Truth laid bare. Watching it happen didn't feel like revenge. It felt like balance. And when Caleb showed up one last time, desperate and angry security stopped him before he could get near me. I looked him in the eye and told him the truth. "You didn't break me," I said. "You showed me exactly who I needed to stop being afraid of." 6 months later, I stood on a stage holding my son, opening a center for women who'd been overlooked, underestimated, written off. Ethan stood in the crowd watching us like we were the only thing that mattered. So here's my question to you. Who was right? Who was wrong? Was it justice, or just consequences finally catching up? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Tell me what you would have done, and if you've ever been judged, dismissed, or made to feel small, share your story. Because sometimes the call you're afraid to make is the one that changes everything.